Radhasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Radhasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita.
My name is Lila Rati Devi Dasi. I live in Trinidad. I met the devotees in Kirapta, and that's an area that I used to live in. And they were chanting on the junction. And they gave me a little card with the mantra on it, but I couldn't pronounce it. So I just took it and I threw it somewhere. And then I can't remember because, I have to dig my mind for memories. And there was something on the television at a time called Community Dateline. And they were interviewing this devotee. I think her name was Srila Devi Dasi. I can't remember. And I was so impressed with her and how she looked and what she was saying. And then she chanted the mantra and I heard it and I was able to pronounce it. And I felt an urge to go and meet these people. And one morning, bright and early, I left my home. I was young, maybe about 16, 17, maybe 18 years old, if so much. And I decided to find where they were. And I went. I wasn't impressed with what I saw at the very beginning. I was not even impressed when they offered me prasadam at the very beginning. But they insist that I ate something. And they gave me a cup of yogurt. I remember this memory so vividly. And I ate the yogurt. And then I started to go ever so often, maybe sometimes in the evening, most time in the morning. And I used to go and I used to meet this devotee because the same Prajna, because she used to make the garlands. We didn't have deities. We had a picture, a Panchatattva picture and a picture of Prabhupada on Vyasa-san. And I used to go and help her. So that's how I came in contact with the devotees, and I joined. My beginning service, because I used to help Prajna Devi Dasi, we used to go and collect flowers and I would help her make garlands. I used to make the garlands. She taught me how to make the garlands. So that was my main service. And helping in the kitchen, washing wares, helping making puris, chapatis. That was my initial service. I never saw Srila Prabhupada personally, but I did the picture. I find he looked like a grandfather, a stern-looking grandfather. That was my first impression of the picture. If I saw him, he was a stern-looking grandfather. Taksha Das was the president at the time. He's no longer with us. He's deceased. And he went to India. And when he came back with it brings back memories. If I'm smiling, it just brings back memories. My first and only silk sari, it was green and gold. I remember that. My name and my beads from Srila Prabhupada. I lived in the temple for about a few years. Can't remember how many years. And ISKCON in those days we were like teenagers, and it was a teenager time. It was unique, the chanting, the going on Sankirtan. I was not one of the world's best booksellers. Actually, I was always very timid to push people to buy books. You would see devotees running up to people, and I wasn't one of those. But it was nice to go on Sankirtan, to go Harinam, to go to people's houses, It was a different time. It's not like ISKCON now. Distributing books was very important. I remember Taksha Prabhu used to say, Lila Rati, Mataji, you need to go out today. You need to go out today. I'm giving you 10 books. See how much you could sell. Even if you only sell one for Srila Prabhupada. If you go today, Mataji, and you sell one book, Srila Prabhupada will be so proud of you. And I used to go out and sometimes I sell, sometimes I don't. But he always used to encourage me, and he always used to say, even if you only sell one book for Srila Prabhupada will be so proud of you. As I said in the beginning, he always looked like a stern grandfather to me, a grandfather, but stern, And I always felt up to now, like if I go to him and I have a problem, he would comfort me, Even now, now when I have problems and I sit down and I say, Prabhupada, how do I solve this? What do I do? And somehow I get an answer. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But that's how I feel. That's my connection. I feel that I can go to him as a grandfather and speak to him. For me, being I've been a woman in an African's body to be able to chant Hare Krishna. It's not, when you come, I came from a Catholic background, stern Catholic background. Go to church every time the bell rings, kind of background. And to leave that, to come into this, it was a vast difference, And Srila Prabhupada brought this, giving us people here who knows nothing. Although I live in Trinidad, where there's a lot of Hindus, you don't know much about Vedic culture. You go to prayers and you eat prasad and you get Indian food, but they don't teach you. The pundit tells you stories, but Prabhupada brought ISKCON where you can learn. You understand? You can learn about Vedic culture. You can learn, how to get home, how to get home, why we're here, why we're suffering on a daily basis, why everything is happening to us. Srila Prabhupada brought that to us. That's our greatest gift. We can get the answers. When you are young, you ask and you search and you ask, why this, why that? Even now, although I am a mature woman and aging woman, I still ask, when things happen, why? But Srila Prabhupada gives you the answer why it's happening, why you're from here, so that you wouldn't have to ask why. So if you read the Bible, you'll find the questions, the answers for all your questions. But if you reach the Prabhupada books, you also find all the answers for all your questions. So it's the same thing. It's not the same thing, sir. It's not the same thing, but the answers are there for everything. The answer for the most important question. Let me show you an example. Recently, earlier this year, my niece, she has lupus. She had lupus, and she was in the hospital for a long time, and she was suffering. And then she died. And my niece was asking why, why? And Srila Prabhupada, that is why we keep asking the questions. The answer to the question why is in Srila Prabhupada's book. It's in ISKCON. It's being under the shelter, under the umbrella of Srila Prabhupada. When I pray, I always ask Srila Prabhupada to keep me under his lotus feet, to shelter me under his lotus feet, because it is really hard to stay focused. It's really hard to stay focused. And now, because of the pandemic, it's even worse because there's not much association with devotees. There's not much going to the temple. So you're like by yourself, and it's really, really hard to keep. So reading Srila Prabhupada books, right now I'm trying to read the prayers of Queen Kunti. Somebody gave it to me. And ever so often I pick it up and I read it, how Queen Kunti, how she was so dependent on Krishna. Understand? So read Srila Prabhupada's books. If we live to be 1,000 years, we can never finish reading Srila Prabhupada. You can never finish reading Srila Prabhupada. For devotees now, for devotees to come, devotees that are not even here yet, we need to read Srila Prabhupada books. That's all we could do. Read and chant. That's all we could do. Once you read Srila Prabhupada books, you would stay. That would keep ISKCON alive because you have to distribute the books. You'll have to you'll see everything you need. You'll always find the answers to all the questions. So all we have to do is read Srila Prabhupada's book.
Rama Rama